Well, he heard some things he probably shouldn't have, but could have been a wee bit of a security breach. I'm sure it won't happen again.
Up next, we're going to talk about a big scandal that's embroiling the Trump team right now over what's being called SignalGate. Basically, this big brouhaha over a scandal where a top Trump official, so led by National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, he created a group chat on Signal, which is a private messaging app that is encrypted. It's used by journalists often because it's pretty secure as far as civilian stuff is concerned. He created a chat on there with other top cabinet and Trump officials, like, for example, Vice President J.D. Vance, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and other very important people that they then used to discuss plans for ongoing strikes, or at that time, upcoming strikes, U.S. strikes in Yemen against the Houthis. But the problem, the scandal happened because Mike Waltz accidentally added a random phone number to the group chat from his contacts, which happened to be Jeffrey Goldberg, a journalist and editor of The Atlantic. They then sent highly sensitive information, potentially legally classified information about the upcoming attack to this clearly unsecure group chat on Signal, exposing it to that random journalist who was in there. To me, it should be pretty obvious to admit, like, wow, that's a big mess up. That's a pretty big mistake, and people should be held accountable for it. But instead, a lot of hyper-partisan conservative media personalities, and specifically some Fox News hosts, are twisting themselves into pretzels to defend the indefensible. I mean, guys, ask yourself, how would conservative media react if the same thing had happened under a Democratic administration? If, for example, a group chat with Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, and Lloyd Austin, the African-American Pentagon Secretary under Biden, if they had done this with some journalist and just accidentally exposed pretty sensitive details about the exact timing of upcoming U.S. military strikes, I have a feeling that conservative media would be screaming bloody murder. And frankly, I'd be agreeing with them because it's a big mistake. But the same way they made a huge deal, and rightly so, out of Hillary Clinton sharing classified information on her email server and all these other scandals, they would be up in arms. But because it's the Trump administration that did this, they are not exactly up in arms this time around. Take a listen to how Fox News star Jesse Waters described the scandal on his show.
Did you ever try to start a group text? You're adding people and you accidentally add the wrong person. All of a sudden, your Aunt Mary knows all your raunchy plans for the bachelor party. Well, that kind of happened today with the Trump administration. Mike Waltz was putting together a group chat on Signal, an encrypted app, with the Secretary of Defense, the VP, and a bunch of other national security officials to collaborate on whether to strike Iranian proxies in Yemen who keep firing missiles and shutting down shipping. Well, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz accidentally added a reporter to the group text, and not a good reporter. Jeffrey Goldberg from The Atlantic, one of the biggest hoax artists around. Well, he heard some things he probably shouldn't have, but could have been a wee bit of a security breach. But it's not like they homebrewed a server and then bleached it or kept classified documents in their garages next to their Corvette. I'm sure it won't happen again.
You've got to be kidding me. Would Jesse Waters or other Fox News hosts really be saying, we've all texted the wrong person, or it's just a wee bit of a security mishap if a Democrat had done this? Give me a break. We all know he'd be singing from a very different hymn sheet. He would not be letting them off with a, oh, I'm sure they won't let it happen again. And we all know it. Sean Hannity attempted to similarly spin this story on his show on Fox. Take a listen.
Obsessed with an accidentally leaked text, a chain from Trump cabinet officials who are debating the merits of military strikes in Yemen. So the very people that covered up their president's severe cognitive decline, lied about wide open borders, both of which are clear and present dangers to our country, now want you to believe that they actually give a damn and care about national security. More feigned, phony outrage. This is now the scandal of the week that you will see nonstop, 24/7, that nobody will care about. Now, by the way, it's not only a smear, but it's waged by the left. That's all they've got.
Sorry, not sorry, but I don't think Sean Hannity would be describing this all as a media smear if a Democrat had done the exact same thing. And guys, notice the consistent theme here of whataboutism. As a defense of what the Trump team did wrong here, simply bringing up other bad things Democrats have done in the past. Y'all do know that's not a defense of your own actions, right? Just because some people may have done something worse or gotten away with something similar doesn't mean you didn't do anything wrong if you also do something similar. That's not how morality or ethics works. It is absolutely true that Biden had multiple massive scandals or acts of incompetence, like the disastrous way he botched the withdrawal from Afghanistan that got US service members killed. But bringing that kind of thing up, or other failures of Democrats or other mistakes Democrats have made when your side is under scrutiny, is just whataboutism. It offers no actual defense of what your side did. I mean, imagine you're taken to court for a crime you committed, burglary, for example, and you say, well, what about that guy that murdered someone? Sir, you're still going to jail. You still messed up, and you should still be held accountable. Or even pointing out, look, that guy murdered someone and got away with it. Doesn't mean we should let you off the hook. That's not how logic works. That's why whataboutism is considered a logical fallacy, guys. It's just undeniable that the way that conservative media is spinning this story is rife with partisan hypocrisy and tribalism. It's Team Red doing it, so they're going to defend it, but if it was Team Blue, they'd be doing the opposite, and frankly, vice versa. Many of the mainstream media hosts who are slamming the Trump team for what they did here played down when Biden had his own classified information scandal, and vice versa. This is why mainstream media is just partisan slop, by and large, with some exceptions. There are some good individuals on either side, but it's just ultimately about what tribe you're a part of. They're not giving you independent truth-telling or honestly calling balls and strikes, at least not most of them. My take on this is pretty simple. You cannot run an administration where you are saying you are all about merit and you are ending DEI and then massively mess up and get away with it and not be punished. Let's be so for real. We all know that if Lloyd Austin, Biden's black Pentagon secretary, had done the same thing, many of the conservatives currently defending Pete Hegseth would have called him a DEI hire and demanded he be fired. And honestly, I might have agreed with them, at least about the being fired part, but now those same people are defending Hegseth. But the main person who should be held accountable here is Mike Waltz. You should not be able to mess up this badly and stay the national security advisor to the President of the United States, especially because, and this is what really bothers me, he's not taking accountability for this mistake. Instead, he's spreading bizarre conspiracy theories like maybe this journalist hacked his way into the chat. They released screenshots that showed Mike literally just added him to the chat. So he's not even fully taking accountability, apologizing for his mistake, promising to do better. He's deflecting and suggesting wild theories as to why he's not at fault. To me, that's inexcusable, and he's got to go. He should resign or be fired. Pete Hegseth, for me, it depends on whether what Hegseth sent in the group chat was classified information or not. If your defense secretary was sending classified information to a group chat with an unknown phone number on a platform you're not supposed to be sharing classified information, yeah, I mean, that's a huge mess up, and he should probably resign at that point. If this information is ultimately deemed to not have been classified, maybe it's the kind of thing he can recover from. But again, this is the guy, and I agree with him on this, who has said all about merit, who has fired people as DEI hires and shepherded them out the door. You can't do that and then mess up badly and just get away scot-free. At least not without looking like a huge hypocrite. And that's part of this problem, is they are firing tons of federal government employees, which to some extent I support downsizing a lot of these departments, but some of them are being fired without having done anything actually wrong. Their jobs are just being eliminated, or a quirk of the status that they hold as government employees is being used to fire them. And then you're going to have top officials mess up like this and not be fired. The double standard there is glaring, and I'm not going to defend that. I'm not going to twist myself in pretzels to say, oh, well, if you squint at it really hard, it's not that bad, or Democrats have done worse stuff. No, it's bad. It's a mistake, and they should just own up to it and apologize and move on. And if they're not willing to do that, there should be some real consequences and accountability. And anybody in right of center media who's trying to spin this into a nothing burger, ask yourself, honestly, if the parties and the politics of who did what here was switched, would they be saying the same thing? I think we all know the answer. But what do you think? Are you upset about this scandal? Do you just not care at all? Do you see the media coverage as partisan, or do you actually think there's something here that's different, do let me know in the comments. I want to hear from all of you guys, especially if you've served in the military or have some insight into the handling of classified information. I definitely want to hear from you.